Not all. We started by talking about models of mind. Professor Shulman first talked about what he means by it and how it manifests itself in literature. And I laid a couple of days back what I mean by it. And we saw how that we studied in the last two classes. It was spread over nearly 7 centuries. The Tamil text, the Puram text that we dealt with belongs to roughly 3rd century. And then the inscriptional poetry, the inscription poetry that we read belongs to 7th century, Rajamanga to 9th century, and Compass text to 10th century, and Janma's text to 12th century. And there was a shift in the model of mind from Puram poetry to the Jaina poetry. In Puram poetry, military heroism is something which provides justification for everything else. It need not be justified by anything else. Whereas the emphasis completely changes in Jaina worldview. The vision of the conqueror still present there. The word China means the conqueror. Either the conqueror of empires, the conqueror of women, the conqueror of moksha. And we also saw how in Jaina imagination, political power, sexuality, and the power of freedom is suggested by moksha, power of art, they're almost synonymous with each other. And the episode of Neelajani, which occurs in Adi Purana, is an episode in which all these threats the Jaina text that I talked about in the previous classes are not translated enough. The translations that are available are very poor in quality. So the text that I'm going to talk in this class, the Vachanas, been translated quite adequately and well. It has Raman translation, Judith Cross translation, and many Indians have also translated this text. The divergent translations of this text. The translations that I'm going to have you read today are from my book of translation of Vachanas. I keep it up. Could have used other translations, but I prefer to use my own because the originals very well. First of all, I have to introduce a few concepts like I did last time. Aga and Logika and Jina. There are certain recurring concepts. And one important word is Anubhava. It's not a new word. The word was already there in Natya Vibhava, Anubhava. The samyoga or samishpatti. Anubhava means involuntary reactions. When you're in the presence of an object of fear, you recoil. When you have fire, you recoil. Look at a dangerous object. When you look at a beautiful object, you're drawn towards. So this is what Anubhava is in Shastra. But in Vachana text, it means something totally different. The word Anubhava means what we refer to, it is not a very happy word, English word, as mysticism. Though there's a lot of mysticism in Indian literature, most of our Indian do not have a word for mysticism. For example, in Hindi, in the 20th century, a new word was called to refer to this phenomenon, rahasyavan. Just as we translated aesthetics as saundarya mimamsa, to rahasyavan. But the phenomenon was there. But only in Kannada do we have a corresponding word which is Anubhava. The Anubhava refers to the transformation of consciousness and the techniques of transforming the consciousness. And is something that cannot be logically explained. Allama Prabhu in one of his vachanas says, the bull called Anubhava has gone astray. The bull is his horns for 6 inches. The mother who was born yesterday gave birth to him the previous. Come, Bhukeshwara, let's go and look for him in the last battle. So he describes this in a very cryptic language. A language which reminds us of poem that's used in Zen Buddhism to knock off the rational mind. Another poet who was a toddy tapper, Indagamaraya, whose profession was to say toddy. He says, Akangaram muchi, Akangaram teradu. Only when you close these eyes, the great eyes open. He describes this. So Anubhava is the phenomenon of transformation of consciousness. It also means the process of doing this and also the techniques of achieving it. And this is somewhat similar to yoga, but not quite that. Maybe because the word yoga had accrued so many diverse meanings, the poets of this period, Sharanas, refer to this.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yes.
So, how might the technique, the consciousness, that aspect of Anubhava, how does that relate to esoteric?
I don't want to relate to esotericism because they can take us to esotericism. These words were coined by, Orientalist scholars were talking about Indian spiritual practices. They're not Christian at all. It is not esoteric in the sense they mean it.
Mm-hmm.
They say that esoteric, for example, somebody like Aldous Huxley says that esoteric religion is always mystical. So it's not that, it's not esoteric religion. So that will completely confuse us. So I don't want to evoke those categories at all. And the poets who compose these texts, rachanas, have been described by scholars, historians, as Virashaiva poets, sometimes Lingaite poets. This term was imposed on this body of texts at least 2 centuries after these poems were composed. For 2 centuries, there was oral circulation. At the time of Prodadeva Raya, during the reign of Prodadeva Raya, one of the most powerful emperors of Vijayanagar, these texts were collected, edited, commentaries were written. This is called Sangopanayuga, Yuga, the period of consolidation or collection. It was that during this period the word Virashaiva was imposed on the text. And there are about 20,000 vachanas by more than 300, 400. The texts are still being recovered by scholars. And the word Virashaiva has appeared only some 200 times. And most of the poets who use this word belong to the later period, not 12th century. And another word they've used is Lingayat movement. This again is a misnomer because the whole body of text, if one makes the word count, the word Lingayat occurs only 32 times. But the word Sharana, the recurrent word, and I would like to call this body of text the Sharana text. The word Sharana. The word Sharana is the opposite of Jina. Jina is the one who conquers, subdues. Sharana is the one who gives it, surrenders. Akka Mahadevi said in one of her poems, Shira Haridu Viddare Channamalli Kaljana, Prana Nivage Arpinare. If my head rolls down, O Channamalli Kaljana, I offer my life up to you. Don't complain. But you've already seen how, even in the Jaina text like Yashoda Racharita, the protagonists are moving in this direction. Averuchi, Madhitatta condemns from the Dhamma. He says, don't do that. It's the magic of love God. When destiny conspires along with the love God, anything can happen. So this whole mindset of conquest this period. Why was it clear during this period? Why? The attitude of selectors. Further, these terms came up, terms like literature, literature. When ancient Kannada texts were being rediscovered by European scholars, the earlier scholars who wrote about the history of Kannada literature, who produced, who compiled the dictionaries, were Christian missionaries. For example, the most, still the most widely used dictionary of Kannada was compiled by a German missionary called Reverend Peter. It's the last word in Kannada today. And when they tried to name different periods of Kannada literature, they used terminologies. Jaina age, Virashya age, Arabic age. So this nomenclature carries that baggage. And of course, it will not be far wrong in calling the body of earlier texts that we dealt with Jaina, because they were written mostly by Jainas. But these texts were written by people who come from widely different castes. And the first version of it, extant version of it, is a cobbler, not a witcher. And then comes a weaver, and then a basket maker, and then a street performer. And Basavanna, who many people believe founded this sect, came much later, maybe 100 years later. When these texts were rediscovered, there was another development. The inheritors of Sharana culture had by this time become a caste group who call themselves Lingayats and Virashyaras. To this day, the two groups are fighting each other, which is the correct nomenclature. And they wanted to reinvent their past. And this was a time when Christian missionaries were spreading Christianity. So they wanted to have a religion which could be on par with Christianity. So Christianity has a founder, Christ. It has a holy book, the Bible. So we must fight one. So Basavanna is the founder, and our Bible. And this whole period of production of this text was described in terms of Eurocentric history. For example, Reverend Channappa Uttangi, who edited these texts, a great scholar, he wrote a book, Virashaivism, an Indian Reformation because he was a Protestant. And the label stuck. The problem is, people who wrote these histories, and many Indian scholars, Kannada scholars, great scholars, did rethink this nomenclature. They repeated the same terms. And even highly perceptive translators like Ramanujan has accepted these terms. He never questioned them because, like the scholars on whom this translation depended, they were not listening to the text. Sheldon Pollock says in his introduction to his book on his book Literary Cultures History, we should first listen to the text. Listen to what the texts are saying. Don't impose your views on them. But most of the interpretations, which are not texted now, either try to translate the vachanas into one of the ideologies that we have, Marxism, whichever, or liberalism, or whatever, and of late there have been Dalit readings of the text. Everybody may find something in this text, but don't reduce the text, this polyvalent text, to one idea. The diverse voices. And there were certain, there's a certain potential for experiences which are not, not accommodated in contemporary ideologies. Maybe they have something else to tell us. So we need to listen to the text very carefully. So when we listen to the text, there are some terms which recur. And some people have identified this with Bhakti movement. In fact, I've been teaching the course on Bhakti movement, but now I need to read the basic because Bhakti is a very loose term. We're using the word Bhakti to refer to saints and poets and the texts which are anti-Bhakti. For example, Allama, one of the leading poets of this period, says in one of the verses, Ganga Devi Mundayadalu. Ganga, one of Shiva's two wives, she has become a widow. Gauri Devi Wale Karidalu. Gauri removed her earrings. When the husband dies, Sumangali has to remove her earrings. Vayudeva Vimanava Hotta. The wind god carries the fire. Vasudeva Kulyadikkida. Vasudeva lit the torch. Attidatta Gokeshwara Sattade Pasu. But anon the news spread that Lord Gokeshwara is dead. And he often says, what kind of bhakti are you doing? ಬದುಕುವನ್ನಕ್ಕ ಭಜಿಸುತ್ತಿದ್ದ ಇನ್ನು ತಾನಹ ದಿನವಾರು. If you go on worshipping all your life, when will you become what you should become? So I would like to call this text as belonging to. There is also an element of bhakti, yes, but that's only one of the streams. So if we call this period or these texts bhakti texts, we are oversimplifying the concepts. So I prefer to call it bhakti hyphen anubhava culture. I've already explained what I mean by that. And most of us, both protagonists and antagonists of Hinduism, think they know what they're talking about. And some people, some European scholars, particularly the American scholar Blake Michael, who has worked on these texts, argues that the Virashaiva movement was the reassertion of Brahminism, of Hinduism. And many people say this is Shaivism. But all these are wild generalization, because Shaivism, which we find in these texts, is very different from the Shaivism of Tamil Nadu, which Professor Schulman talked about through those texts, because Tamil Bhakti is temple centered. Whereas Shaivism of Kashmir is totally different. It's purely based on meditative practices. Whereas this Shaivism is different. There are so many Shaivisms in this country. For example, there's a tribe called Rabhas in Assam. They call themselves Shaivas. But their staple food is pork. There's some Shaiva texts which Alan Nendu talks about who offer buffalo sacrifice. There's so many Shaivas. But the word which figures very prominently in this text, more than Shiva, is Linga. Of course, Linga, if you look up the dictionary of religions, the definition given is phallic symbol. But Freud said even Christian crosses are phallic symbols. Do we get this definition of cross? So Linga means something else. Allama Prabhu defines it. Linga ಎಂಬುದು ಒಂದು ಅನಂತದ ಹೆಸರು. Linga is the name of the infinite. The word means the symbol. And by Linga, of course, there are Shiva Lingams in the temple, but these poets mean something else. In Tamil Nadu temples, to which the 9 mosques, Tamil Shaivite course, devoted, there are Shiva Lingams. Except in the temple of Chidambaram, where Shiva is worshipped in the form of the Nataraja image. In most of the other temples, Shiva is worshipped in the form of Shiva Linga. But the Linga that Vachana poets talk about, Sharnas talk about, is not that Linga. They call it Sthavara Linga. Still Linga. The Linga they talk about is Chara Linga, moving Linga. Here I should talk briefly about the history of temples. When the institution of temple first emerged in Tamil Nadu, temples were small places. We look at the compositions of Tamil Shaivite saints. They talk about the deity, they talk more about the nature around and the trees and birds around. They were small places. Some Shivalingam image in a small temple, open space. But when Bhakti became popular, temple grew up into a big institution. Many historians have pointed this out. By the turn of the millennium, temples became huge. And it was not just a place of worship. Temples also started performing various functions, economic and social functions. They worked as banks. They had their own treasury. Sometimes when kings went bankrupt, they borrowed money from the temple. And temples looked after different areas of administration. For example, according to one inscription, which the famous economic historian of South India, Apadre, talks about, on one day, Temple of Chidambaram issued licenses to some 300 prostitutes. So temple performed this and the business centers. And they became confined to upper caste, Uchavarnas. And untouchables, Shudras were not allowed to enter. For example, in Tamil Bhakti geography, two great saints were from untouchable communities. The Shaivite saint Nandana, the Vaishnavite saint Tirupana. And it was Nandana's lifetime ambition to have the vision of the deity of uh, Chidambaram, but he was not allowed to enter the temple. The legend goes that he was asked to perform a fire ordeal, and he entered the fire. His body was consumed, and his soul, in the form of a you know flame, into the temple and merged with it. Now, what it means, yes. Similarly, Tirupana, his greatest ambition was to go to the temple of Srirangam. And when you go to Srirangam temple, there's a tunnel, the prakara of the temple. But if you shout, Ranga, the echo comes, ah. So they said this is meant for Tirupana because you want to go to the temple. And those great people in the past said, you don't need to go to him, call him from here. Look, when they say Ranga is here. This happened to the Marathi saint poet, Chokamela. He was not allowed to enter the temple of Vichoma. So temple entry was barred, untouchables, and the temples, which were the haunts of devotees, 6th and 7th century, had now become banks. So the poets of this period, Shavanas, they rejected it. Alamahu says, Kallaveda Kallattu Kallamaneya Madidare. You place a piece of stone on stone and build the house of stone, Devaretta Hodaro. Where is God? Linga Pratishtaya Madidavanje Nayaka Naraka Upesha. Whoever sets up such a Shivalinga is sure to go to the worst camp. Nayaka Naraka. So make the body the temple. So they borrowed from the Shaiva tradition where some sects used to wear the Shivalingam on the body. The body is a temple. So this is called Ishtalinga. It's a specific meaning, but the word Linga is the ultimate reality, the name of the infinite, as Anga. So Linga is the immanent and transcendental reality. Anga is the relative reality. Something like what Sufis call Al-Haq, the transcendental reality. Al-Hakika, the relative. So, roughly like Paramatma and Jivatma in other philosophies. So, Anga and Nicha. Another important word that occurs in the Vachanas is very specific. It's a concept which only these poets have created, which is similar to Shunya in Madhyamika philosophy, Bayalu. Bayalu is void, which is not empty. And sometimes we talk about another concept, Nirvayalu. No Vayalu. They use another, which is equivalent of Nishunya. Nagarjuna talks about Shunya. These people talk about Nishunya. Shunyದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಶೂನ್ಯವಾಯಿತು ಬಯಲಲ್ಲಿ ನಿರ್ವಯವಾಯಿತು. And whatever is embodied, not embodied, is Bayal. Whatever is embodied is Alaya. Alaya is embodied. Alaya is temple, but here it means Alaya means anything that's embodied. Bayalu means whatever is not embodied. Whatever is not environment, open space. I think in a totally different context, Kabir describes this very beautifully. जल में कुंभ कुंभ में जल बाहर भीतर पानी टूटे कुंभ जल जल ही समाना ये तत् तत्यो ज्ञान. The spot in the water is the pot. You press the pot in the water, and you break the pot, water still remains. So, Bayalu is something inside and outside. So that's a very important word there. Bayalu and Alaya is opposite. And another important word is Aruhu. Aruhu is awareness. Marahu is unawareness. The word Aruhu can be compared to the Buddhist concept of sati. Sati in Pali is the tadbhava of smriti. Smriti means not just remembering, to be aware, smarana. And the opposite of it, vismriti, that is marahu. The difference, according to these poets, between an unawakened person and an awakened person, in fact, unawakened person is a prisoner of marahu, forgetfulness. And just remembering. So these are some important key concepts which recur in this place. And another word, just one more word, the Vachana texts have been classified by later scholars into two groups: Sarada Vachana Guru, Ganagana Vachana. That is direct vachanas and oblique vachanas. For example, the vachana I quoted at the beginning, the bull called Anubhava, etc., is an oblique vachana. The word used is better. This is a kind of secret language which is used in some of the spiritual traditions called Sandhavasa. Sandhavasa means twilight language, it also Sandigdha, in between language, liminal language. Because the experiences that the saints talk about cannot be translated into categories of normal experience they use a special language. I think in Nirguni traditions in North India it's called Ultiya Bhasa, inverted language. So a lot of compositions are in, not very large number, at least some 10% of very important compositions for these states are in this mode. So these are some of the important concepts. Now, the basic paradigm, worldview has changed. Vis-a-vis Jaina, the ideal is Jinatva, conquest. Pampa says, Yamagiyali, that great Rishabhanatha bless us with Mukti Shri Sukhavam, the wealth of liberation, the wealth. And Bahubali, in the passage Juliet says, why should I hanker after this? Attain Jinatva. So many gods will come and touch me. So power. It is the opposite. Sharana. So when the worldview changes completely, the poetic expression also changes. And when the poetic expression changes, when the experience changes, when the poetic expression changes, a new poetics is born. And these poetics need not be the Sanskrit poetics, the Sangam poetics, or even earlier Jaina poetics in Kannada. Description of the battle, description of the brothel, and the description of Gaya, hunting, all these things, the palace, the city. So all these poets have conformed to these rules. But these rules had already been laid down in Sanskrit. So what are they doing in Kannada? They're producing what I would like to call Tatsama tradition. If you have a loan word from Sanskrit, like Krishna, this is called Tatsama. Take it directly, it's called Tatsama. But if you accommodate this word into the phonology of your language, it becomes Tadbhava. So, these texts of Marga poetics and grammar, which came later in the second millennium, and the poets who conform to these dictates of this place belong to what I call Tatsama Tadbhava tradition. Does it mean that there was no other poetry in the period? There cannot be any community, society, At this point of time in history, without the oral narratives, the oral poetry, what we talk about. Now, the poets who follow this tradition, in the Purva Kavi Smarana, in remembering the poets of the past, they quote mostly only Sanskrit words. Kalidasa, Magha, and then some of them quote Sri Vijaya, the Orthodox. Whereas Vachana poets don't quote them. They just talk about Adyara Vachana, the words of ancients. Who are these ancients? Some people say that this Vachana movement was a great revolution. First of its kind. The textual evidence is against it. We think that anything valid happens only against something. Anything valid is shouting slogans. This was also a tradition, another tradition. And Gurujamaka talks about Marga and Desi. Marga is textually established, trans-regional. Desi is the local. But Desi and Marga are interdependent. There's something that is bigger than Marga and Desi. What is it? I don't know what. I don't know what that is. So I'd like to call this Loka Marga, Desi, and so many other things. So these texts were in circulation in Lokavangmaya, but not in the written tradition. And at some point of time, they started expressing themselves in this particular form. Unfortunately for us, these texts were committed to writing by the painstaking scholarship of scholars during the time of Proletara. Should be done because they consolidated. Texts don't, they made many other mistakes in interpretation. They made the text available to us, otherwise they were in oral translation. So, what kind of poetics did they have? So now I want you to read the first section for it, at the beginning of page 3. And I would like to call this count. And we've been talking about poetics of the previous period. Please read and tell me. Is there any new emphasis in this poetics? New category. The Telugu, see, Telugu also, Telugu because the area of Bhagavad was valuable, perhaps not fiber is level of Prayojana. But people's poetry in Telugu began because of the influence of Kanpur ke Somanatha. He was inspired by what she had created. And that opened a new traditional writing, opened up a new traditional writing. So in Telugu, this, we call it a revolution, came 2-3 centuries later.
Very labor intensive references to caste and occupation.
It's an important thing because we already seen even in the Jaina text by the name for the first time. But when it comes to poetry, is there any other
And in terms of words, in terms of technique,
sense of infinity? How would you say that?
It's not making any kind of that one.
We say transgressive. All poetics is meta poetry. All poetry is meta poetry.
Maybe anti-representational Bollywood thing, but it's also with art approach things to kind of improving what is absolutely and very profound thing. So those objects themselves, they don't need to create representations because to achieve transcendence with them.
There's a strong sense of boundary.
Everything that already is.
You think so?
In the sense that the people building then it says then like that where he was speaking and the way in which they are speaking everything is
Jyoti has something. Mercedes, not this. Yes. Not only Vedas, with poetry that exists. Because they're not building up a system. This is like inbuilt poets. Just because they're not written about their poetics, we can't say they don't have a poetics. It would be tantamount to saying that because nobody has written the grammar of the Eskimo language. In the first one, so this is what ancients have done. You need a and you need a lamp to light up darkness. This is the purpose, the objectives. Up to it appears to be a restatement what's already been said in earlier poems. If you speak, your flesh must be like a string of Muridara Muttina. Like that go clear. Spatika the Sharaki and crystal clear in the shower. But when speech does not square, this is the deal. The meanings of the word vachana, many people say saying or something. It's the promise made. When I say this, I live this. I'm talking about experience, direct speech. Epic poetry is somebody else's experiences. Bhakti, indirect speech. Somebody writes something, somebody else. Valmiki, somebody writes the Ramana, somebody else rewrites it. So reporting what he said. Poetry is direct speech. Talking directly, God. And it has to be translation of your actions, and your actions should be the translation. Again, the same emphasis you find in the last one by Machideva the Vashapa. The main indicators distinguishes between Vachanaka, fake Vachana poetry calls them Vachana Vachanakaras. They know only the structure because what they need. This is a radically new and Prabhupada said infinite. In a sense, yes. Look at the next one. Objective poetry, subjective poetry, naturalistic. Usi Kandya. Sanskrit poetry talks about Vastu. Vastuka means Marga, Varnaka means Desi. Vastuka is narrative or descriptive. There's no unanimity about it. But but one great scholar, a science scholar, told me that there's a mention of Prakriti, a description of nature, like let's say Kalidasa's this side. This side is the but what we're talking about is on the other side. And these people, this kind of poetry compares to parrots. A flock of parrots. Parroting tradition of poetry, which is repetitive, which is not. Poetry is always new, but that new established tradition. But here, anti-system poetry, which are the yeah.
Who were they writing for? Because when you're talking about direct speech and the unity of word, the promise, very personal, testimonies, promises. So the role of the listener, she said, you have to listen very carefully to what you're doing. So I'm just wondering, period.
Who are the listeners of poetry? No, they're not talking only about that. Sometimes they talk to God, even if God rejects them. Otherwise, I don't care. It's not important. Ankulave, foliages, Mamarave, mango tree, Bedadingare, oh moonlight, Gogilaye, coil bird. I'm asking everyone of you. And most important, be to themselves.
One of the interesting things about this may or may not, I don't know how much this relates, but models of culture that were operating, where aesthetics would together and go on, like do things in a, make sounds like there are very few remnants of it. We do have just which you don't get like the word and the deed should be together, but it's like doing one thing and saying another and getting all the advantages for yourself at all the time. So there's this. I do think that there is a kind of space for either like an address, a very virile, I think, of link between word and deed, as well as a strong and very virile, it's a very male tradition of ritualized nonsense as a form of social.
A lot of public
Yes.
mantras.
Where you have lots of Sanskrit priests, even South Sanskrit.
Classical tantra. There are a lot of mantras in the Shabara tradition. next one. Now, Adaya is not only rejecting Shastras, Sanskrit what it said. Shastra is different from Kavya. Referential use of language, and Kavya is Ranjana. But now Adaya is rejecting both Abhida, Vedas, Puranas, Shastras. But they're all similes. Also similes. And all these so-called cheap tricks, some god similes. And they get rid of similes, they get rid of the track of non-similes. So, because they're not seen the truth around. And most of the Ankitas, not this one, etc., break an important rule of grammar. Whether Uttarapada, the last word is Sanskrit. This is called Arisama. So, simile born people make similes with similes, come into being through similes, and they die. So, to go beyond similes. And again, not from there. Vachadadabho vacho naiva. Can't speak the experience of Vachada. Allah Malik says, Padavanarpisa bahudallade, Padathavanarpisa bahude. The meaning of the word. You can make an offering. You make an offering. But can you make the offering? He breaks through the grammar of the language. And Basavana's next verse is Oje Bajavane Nadi. Never heard of it. Pranamana says, never kept count. Think about the mythical feat. Ambrosia divine. Oh, Master Kuzal because nothing can be taken. Nothing can spoil you. Nothing. You. So whatever I do, whatever I say is not going to cause any diminution or nature. So let's go back. Number one, emphasis on the unity of the word and the deed. And longing for the experience, unmediated experience. And freedom from rules. And seeing and saying afresh. Not repeating. So the tradition for them, Adhya Vachana is there. They go down to it. Dasimaya the Weaver says, tradition of ancients. Adhya Vachana Purusha Kandaya. The words of ancestors, great ancestors, is like the philosopher's stone, Purusha. And elsewhere he says, Gudashara Nudi Gadanave Kadaginu Kana Ramanasa. Like the wheel turns because of the up, this body, us, Sharadas, on us. The Kadagilu, the hub is the sayings of each. So it's very important. But not a conformity. Learn from them and move on. So this we can sum up as some of the cardinal principles of the inbuilt poetics of personal verse. So before we look ahead, tea time, and in the meantime, the 90s get ready. If you have any